This program is sponsored by Newcastle County Government.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Reuben's Indian Kitchen. Today, I have a very special guest, the man, the myth, the legend. I got Chef Dana Herbert with me.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Welcome back to your studio. That's what I'm calling this place. This is your house. I'm just in it. What are we going to be making today?
Well, bro, because this is Reuben's Indian Kitchen, I had to think of coming up with some things that were inspired by you, honestly. You inspired me to dig into some of my flavors.
So nice.
So today we're gonna do cream puffs.
Okay.
A classic dessert, but we're gonna
That's
give
something
it.
that scares me, Chef.
It's scary.
So you're gonna help me.
But we're gonna give it a twist. So we're gonna do a cardamom cream puff. We're gonna put a little cardamom in the
Nice.
cream puff and that pâte à choux, as they say in French. And then on the cream for it, I thought, what about a mango cream with a little bit of tamarind in it?
That sounds delicious.
So, I mean, the first things we're gonna have to do is, number one, you gotta have your oven fired up to 375.
Yep,
Which
we're
we
there.
do. Amen. The second thing that we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to get those cream puffs, or AKA pâte à choux, cooking. So Reuben's got there on his stove. He has a pot. He's gonna put some butter in there. That'll give us some richness. And then he's gonna put some water in there. So he's gonna melt the butter and the water together. He'll bring that to a boil. And then once that comes to a boil, you're gonna put in there the flour. We'll add the cardamom.
All right.
And we'll add a pinch of salt.
I love cardamom. It's also super strong, though. So if you guys use this sparingly, use it to your amount, because it has a very earthy flavor to it. I love it. We put it in tea. It's in chai mixes. So if you ever drink chai, if you're a chai latte person, you'll definitely taste a lot of cardamom in there.
Now, what are some of the other spices you would find back home?
Clove is another big one. We like to use cloves a lot. When we get cardamom, we get the small green pods. So if you ever find whole cardamom at your store, it'll be in these whole green pods. You can even use those whole pods to just infuse whatever you want with that, with those beautiful spices. Clove is another one. They look like little tiny, like nuts almost. They're like little black.
Kind of reminds you of a thumbtack, right?
Yeah, it's a little thumbtack. You only need like 2 of them. If you ever see like an Easter ham, sometimes they're like spiked in the Easter ham. You know what I mean?
Grandmom used to do that with the ham. She'd put the pineapples on there with a cherry and then spike it with a clove.
Yeah, I love clove, but it's another one of those flavors that too much is going to just ruin your whole dish. So it's another thing you want to be very, very careful with.
Okay. So what I have here are basically my ingredients for my pastry cream. So for pastry cream, we're going to put a little bit of milk in there. Okay. We're going to add some sugar, give it a little bit of sweetness. We're going to add that little bit of vanilla. We're going to add a little bit of tamarind. Now, tamarind has some kick to it. Has a nice little sour flavor, right?
Yeah, so I love tamarind. I was just telling Chef, I like to mix it with like club soda. Really gives it just a beautiful flavor to it. We used it in our barbecue sauce for the barbecue episode. I love it. It's a really strong flavor, though, especially if you get this concentrate. It's a really, really concentrated flavor. So it's super sour, but it has this really beautiful sweetness to it as well. So that's why it works really well in a dish like this. It really balances out the sweetness of the mango like really, really well.
Oh yeah.
And the richness of that pastry cream.
Definitely, definitely. Now to this, I'm going to add some mango puree. Now, what kind of mangoes, Reuben, do they have back home.
So we have two different ones that are probably the most popular. The first one is Kesar mango, and the other one is Alfonso. Alfonso's the more sweeter one. That one's a little tinier. It's not like the big green one, the green and yellow ones we get here. When you see the Kesar mangoes, they're going to be about like a potato size, like a small potato size, and they're going to be really, really, really yellow and orange, and they're super, super sweet.
Gotcha. So I'm just warming up here my milk, my mango, the tamarind, the vanilla, and so forth. The next thing that I'm going to get ready is I'm going to get the sugar and cornstarch. Now what I like to do is I like to take the sugar, just throw it in a bowl, and add the cornstarch to it. All right? By doing that, I'm going to break up some of these starch molecules.
Okay. You're going to make a slurry, or are you just going to...
I'm just going to end up adding the eggs to it.
Okay.
And then I'll mix it all together.
That makes sense.
Okay. This is like one of them things when you're making soup sometimes and you're using different thickeners like a cornstarch, or if you're using a sauce, you want to break up those molecules as best you can. Okay. So we got them pretty broken up. I'm going to add some eggs to here, 2 whole eggs.
All right.
And then I'm going to add 2 egg yolks.
We're almost there on this, Chef. It's going to start boiling here any minute now.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to put 2 eggs in real quick, mix that around, and then I'm going to come back and add 2 egg yolks.
Okay.
This is going to help give our mango mixture here some body.
And you're going to cook it in here,
Yep,
too?
I'm going to cook it in here too. Okay.
What are some common mistakes when people are making like pastry creams and like cream puffs and stuff like that?
You know, with the cream puffs per se, I find a lot of times you have to be precise on your measurements when you're doing the cream puff or the pâte à choux, as they say in French. You have to have the right amount of flour, you have to have the right amount of moisture, and you have to have the right amount of egg. If you don't have enough flour, it doesn't have enough structure. If you don't have enough egg, again, the egg helps to bind everything together, gives you kind of that, put it like this, the flour and the butter-water mixture together would give you more like a loose roux.
Okay.
You need that egg to do its thing to kind of give it that stretchability.
So you want this at a rolling boil before I start adding the flour?
I think you're good. You can keep the heat where it is, and then you can add the flour to it.
So we're just trying to get the butter all melted and warm, right?
That's correct.
All right, so now I'm going to add the flour to it.
Yep, you go ahead and pour that right on in there.
All right, this is the part that I always get really, really fascinated by, when it just starts to turn into this crazy dough right in the pan.
It does. I'm telling you, you almost think you messed up, you know, when you're making that pâte à choux. Yep, you just keep stirring, get that flour mixed in there, and so forth. Keep going. We're going to get that all mixed together. Yep, break up those flour lumps in there. And then he's going to end up cooking this. And you're going to, how should I say this? You're going to have almost like a thin film start to form on the bottom of the pan. And it's not anything burnt. It's just because it's a flour against that warm pan, you're going to get a little thin film. And when you start to get that film, that's how you know you're heading in the right direction.
And this is almost the same kind of dough you would use for like churros, right?
Yes. Like this is a great, what's the word I'm looking for? Cousin of the churro. Like
Is that the film you're talking about there, Sean?
Yep, there it is.
All right, so I'm going to add it to here, and then I'm going to show you guys the film that he's talking about on the bottom.
And then once you add it to there, we're just going to beat it.
So that's the film right there. If you guys can see on the bottom right there. All right, so that's what he was talking about. That's what you want before you start. So I'm going to put that right there.
And
all right.
It's funny, as that thing keeps cooking, a lot of times I'll eat the little film that's on the bottom.
Yeah?
It's like a really good cracker or something.
So I just turn this on low?
Yep, turn that on low.
And then you want me to add the cardamom to it?
Yep, we'll add the cardamom to it.
So what's going to happen when this cardamom hits this hot dough, it's going to really bloom the spice. I've used that word a lot, blooming the spices, because it really just helps open it up, open up all these great flavors. You'll start to smell it as soon as it hits that heat. So should I be worried about over mixing here, Chef? What should I?
Not yet, because what you're doing is you're knocking some of the heat out of the
Okay.
pâte à choux dough, because we're going to put the eggs in there. Last thing we want to do is scramble it.
Right.
Now, it doesn't have to be like cold, but we let it mix for a minute or two just to knock that heat out.
So you want it like what temperature would you say you want it when you feel?
No, that's a tough one. Normally I've done it so much. Let me feel. I'm like, Lord Jesus, what is it supposed to be? And we're heading in the right direction.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you've done it so many times. It's just,
I know.
It's just
You're like, what
you're
temperature?
on auto drive.
Right. You're like, what temperature? I'm like, but we're getting there. Yep. Let it run about a minute more.
Okay.
And then we can add the 1 egg at a time to there. It's important, you want to add 1 egg at a time when you're making cream puffs, because if you go too fast, you kind of break your mixture. Now here I have the mango mixture. It's ready to receive the egg mixture here. I'm just going to scrape a little bit.
And I'm just going to add just a pinch of salt to this while it's mixing.
Yep. Now for here, it's important that you're steadily mixing when you're adding that egg mixture, because you don't want it to cook on the bottom. And if you wouldn't mind, sir, can you turn my heat down for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I am constantly scraping the bottom. What I don't want is an omelet. Now,
Yeah, you don't want scrambled mango eggs.
Right, that's not what I'm going for. Now, should you wind up in that predicament, you can use a food processor or a hand blender or something like that to bring you back.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of like what you can
Definitely
do.
been there before.
Kind of like the same thing you do with a vanilla sauce or something like that, when it's like, uh-oh, I went too far, right? And you're like, what do I do now? Food processor, blender.
Yeah,
your
I've definitely
friend.
done the blender trick a few times. So it's something that you shouldn't be too worried about. You don't have to like throw it all out and start over.
No. And that's why I'm not even worried today, because I'm like, should it? I know what to do. Sometimes people ask us like, how do you guys become such great chefs? We mess up a lot.
A lot.
A lot. That's the
lot.
thing. Ooh, that's hot.
All right, I think we're getting there with this temperature over here, Chef. With
Okay.
These,
Good. So start to add 1 egg at a time. I'm gonna just add my butter in here.
and you want to wait till it's completely incorporated, right, before I add another one?
Yeah, so 1 in and corp, 1 in and corp. This is that labor of love happening right now. Okay, so we got our mango cream going on here. And then we just need to pour it into something, because you would let it cool down, throw it in the refrigerator. If you ever needed it to cool like super duper duper fast, you would spread it out super thin on a what's the word for it? You would spread it out super thin on a sheet pan and then just throw it in the fridge.
Oh man, Chef.
How's that? Is that decent flavor?
I think that's great. I like it because it's not super sweet. We were kind of talking about this off air a little bit, but how I'm not a huge fan of like super sweet desserts.
Mm-hmm. And when you start to add other things, chocolate, I mean, you're just adding sugar on sugar on sugar on sugar, so you gotta be careful. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. That tamarind actually really comes out more than I
like it.
was expecting it to.
I like it. Yes. It's funny. I'm a Sour Patch Kid fan, so tamarind is like right up my alley. And you're like, hey, what do you think about adding tamarind? Yes. Yes. That's all you had to say.
I mean, and you can use the fresh pulp. I just like using the concentrate because, quite honestly, it's just so much easier.
It is.
I have no problem using some of these shortcuts when it comes to cooking sometimes because it's just, some of us don't have the time to pick tamarind, clean it.
We work
cook
all
it
day.
down. Yep. We were
right?
just talking about this.
You pick up the kids or something. Next thing you know, you're not home till like 6:30. And then you're like, oh man, I need to make dinner. Oh man, I'm trying to make dessert. You're like, how am I doing this?
Am I good on this speed, or should I turn it up just a little bit?
Just a little bit. And then just scrape down your sides, making sure we get everything in there. There you go, brother.
I still have a couple more eggs I need to add.
Okay. I'm just stirring around some chocolate melts here. Getting them melted. Now, the thing with chocolate melts is sometimes you might have to add a touch of oil to them, depending upon the brand that you get. There's all kinds of brands in these different stores. Each one's just slightly different than the other.
And would you want to use like coconut oil? Would you want to use like a neutral oil?
You could, I tend to use a neutral oil only because I have it readily at my disposal,
Yes.
like at the shop. Just big 35-gallon things, 30-gallon things full of oil. However, coconut oil is great with chocolate. Great.
Yeah, that's how you make that like magic shell. You remember that magic shell topping you guys had? When
Oh
you
yeah,
guys were
for the
kids?
ice cream?
Yeah, you put it right on top, and in like 2 minutes, it turns into the shell topping. That was my
That was
favorite.
some good stuff growing up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it get hard like a brick.
I was like, I used to be amazed. I thought it was legitimately magic.
Wait a second, Mom had the superhero cape on, right? How did you do that? Okay, so I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil here to my chocolate, just to get it just a little bit smoother for when we dip them in there.
And how are we looking here, Chef? Should I turn it off? Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good. Maybe one scrape, one rotation. Okay, a little bit of oil.
I love cream puffs. I used to like that big plastic white box you would get at like BJ's. That came with the cream puffs and little mini eclairs.
Yep. And I mean, eclairs are the same thing as the cream puffs.
Yeah.
It's just piped longer. Piped a little longer.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna put my chocolate here back on the heat. So when we do a little dipping, we'll be good to go.
All right.
Now we were talking earlier about mango desserts, and you
Yes.
brought up one that was common.
It's a drink. Yeah.
It's
so
a
it's
drink.
called Mango Lassi, and I'm hoping to make it one day for you guys. It's a yogurt-based drink that has usually the Kesar mango pulp, and it is super delicious. I love it. It's a great summer drink. Now that I'm an adult, I like to add a little bit of rum to it because
We say you have a grown-up version of the last.
yeah, why not? I can do that now. All right.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put that in my pastry bag here. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
And so Reuben has made a beautiful pat of choux dough. Look at that. That's perfect, bro.
All right.
I thought you said you didn't know what you was doing over there with that.
Hey, baking sometimes makes me nervous.
Oh, you
It is
said
such a science, though.
it is.
It's so
you know,
precise. It's not like when we're cooking. It's not like when Mom's cooking in the kitchen or when we're cooking in the kitchen. You're like, you can just eye it up. You can't eye up a lot of baking things.
when I finished my culinary degree, I stayed for a baking and pastry degree at Johnson & Wales. It definitely took some adapting because there are some things you could wing on the savory side in the fixing of sauces
Right.
and this and that, and they come out amazing. On that baking and pastry side, I learned that there were some things that I could a little bit, and then there were some other things that were just very unforgiving. This is one of them.
Yes.
This
I
is
mean, I was
one
just
of 'em.
telling Chef off air
Oh,
that
that looks great, bro.
it would make me nervous. I've had some really great batches of pâte choux dough, and I've had some ones that are not so good.
This is looking good, bro.
Awesome.
Nice and
High
smooth.
praise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did that. You did that. I
So
see
what's some
little-
tricks when you're piping it?
Well, I'm bringing it around in that circle like that. You try to keep them consistent so that they all bake at the same time. Because if some of them are too big and some are too small, you're gonna have all kinds of stuff going on your pan. So you try to keep that count in your head, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, whoop. And then I bring it around in a circle so that it doesn't have what's the word for it? Peaks. Because
Okay.
if I pull straight up, it might look And let me see if I'll show you. I'll show you the wrong way. See, like if I just
see,
pull
I've
out,
definitely made some like that before.
I wind up with this Hershey Kiss thing, and it's not supposed to be a Hershey Kiss unless you purposely are making them like that. But classically, they're not. And then, like I was saying, telling Reuben, this is the same thing they're using for eclairs.
So if you wanted to make an eclair out of this, how would you?
It would just be like, and then you
Gotcha.
bake that baby just like that.
Gotcha. And so then we put this in our.
Yep, we're gonna put this in there. Alrighty. Now these they could take 30 minutes at least, because the challenge with pâte de choux is you got to give them time to puff, you got to give them time to rise, and at the same time they got to get cooked throughout. So some people, depending on your ovens, they might put them in there for like 20 minutes, right? And let the outsides, let it puff up and so forth, and then they drop the temp down some so that they don't burn the
Gotcha.
outside, and they let it cook a bit. That's what I've noticed. So it really depends on your oven.
So you mind if you crack one of these open just to show them what
Sure.
the inside looks
Go ahead
like?
and crack that baby open.
Ooh, I'm gonna try to. Might need to cut it open just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I made these a little earlier. There you go. So you can see on the inside.
You can see on the inside how it's nice and hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Super light.
And that's what leaves you the room for your cream to go in there. Puff pastry, or should I say, a cream puff, it's just dough with air, and air just opens it right up.
You do get that cardamom too in here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so just setting up my bag here. I'm gonna grab pastry cream,
All right.
our mango cream.
So how long do you want to let this mango cream set?
Well, you gotta at least get the heat off of it. So normally you would let it set probably 30 minutes or so. The thinner you go, the faster she's gonna cool though.
Okay.
Like way faster. All right. So I got my bag here. Piping bag is a pastry person's best friend. Never leave home without it. We got that mango cream going in the bag. All right. I definitely say with the creams, don't overfill. See, it will drip out just a little bit on the bottom. So I'm just setting myself
Yeah, I feel like
up.
I see a lot of people trying to fill it all the way up to the top, and they got this big old thing that they're trying to work with.
And when you see that happen, for the most part, you're saying, okay, they're amateur. They
Yeah.
don't know yet. They don't know yet. Now, the other trick I like to do is a lot of times I'll take my knife and just give it a little twist in there, make my little hole for my tip to go in a lot of times. This is important, like if you're making cream puffs ahead of time, let's say, I don't know, you got about 300, 400, 500, 600 of these things to do. Normally, you'll make them the day prior so you can turn around and fill them. Now, in making them the day prior, they'll get a little crustier.
Okay.
But as soon as that cream hits it from the inside, it goes back to its original
So how long
state.
will these shells hold?
Well, if you bake them properly and they have been stored properly, you can make cream puff shells and they hold for like a week and a half. No problem.
And these will freeze well too? If you pull them out of the freezer, will they not freeze really well?
They can freeze well.
Okay.
Which is why I think you mentioned earlier where
Yeah.
you saw them in a Costco or a BJ's or one of them big stores like that. They do freeze well. All right, let's do one more and then we'll start filling these babies.
You want me to get a plate for you to set them on? after
Yeah,
we're done?
buddy. Let's do it. Okay.
Got a nice long plate here so we can just
That'll work.
real pretty.
Oops. Let me get that tip in there. That one I cut a little small. All right, so now I'm putting cream in. And boom, there's one. You can wipe off the excess. But you can feel the weight of that now.
Oh yeah.
Compared to the original shell, it should be like night and day.
Yeah, it's It's definitely a
Right.
lot denser. Then you just want me to take this and dip it?
Dip that right in that chocolate, brother. Mm-hmm.
The excess drip. Oh,
Yep. And you just flip it right back over.
there it is.
Yep.
That little beautiful cream puff.
Now the cool part with these things is that you can fill them with all kinds of stuff. Today we're doing the mango cream, but if you wanted to do chocolate mousse, white chocolate mousse, different flavored jams, jellies, you could totally do that. Diplomat cream, you name it, you can fill with it. So
Yeah.
So once you get it down, you could totally do that. I could even see that mango lassi coming into play.
Yeah.
Maybe a touch of gelatin in there so it won't run out as fast. Ooh, the mango, oh my God, the mango rum lassi
Yes.
cream puff for the adults.
And that's what we're trying to do here, guys. Like with any of these Indian techniques and flavors that I show you, I want you to be able to get creative with them. You know, like we did with the dumplings and stuff like that. Like you're just doing some fun ingredients, some fun little recipes,
Yeah,
some fun things you can do to just add to your repertoire.
it's funny, man. Working alongside you, having you on my show, and then you have me back on your show, it reminds me of, what's that movie? And now we're doing something French, ironically. The 100-Foot Journey. You ever see that one?
I haven't. I really want to watch
Oh.
that.
It's amazing, and it talks about a chef in there, and he has his backgrounds are from India, and he's just like killing it because he infuses his flavors, his techniques into the French cuisine and just blows their mind. Blows their mind.
All right, should we dip these and eat these ones?
I think we need to.
I think we have to. I'm not even gonna wait for that chocolate to cool. Can't wait.
Okay.
Cheers, brother.
All right. Let's see what we're working with.
Oh man.
That's the cream for me.
Yeah, you guys gotta give me a second with this one.
That's the cream for me. Definitely taste the mango coming through.
And it's not super sweet. Again, that chocolate adds just a little bit of extra sweetness.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You get the tamarind coming through, the cardamom. This is fantastic, man. This will up your date night, y'all.
As I stuffed my entire mouth with the cream puff.
Man,
That's the one thing you gotta be careful of with cream puffs. You can't eat just one.
right. And that's so good though.
Thank
That's
you. Thank
incredible. The pastry filling has a really great consistency to it too. It doesn't feel like it's super heavy.
you. Right.
Man, it was a really great combination. You have the lightness from the pastry from the actual pâte choux dough. Man, that's awesome. I love that a lot. This is something that your kids can do. They can help you out with too, filling and.
Easily. Do they do anything similar to a pâte choux in India?
Not that I know off the top of my head. I mean,
Okay.
we have like a lot of like light desserts. So we have probably the closest thing we have is this Indian sweet called jalebi. And it's like a little. It's more of a batter though, and you fry it, and it's a little. It's like the size of that hole right there, and you just spin it around, and it's soaked into syrup. And when you bite it, it's like this like light pastry that's like filled with this syrup. It's crazy sweet. Sometimes a little too sweet for me, but I really, really enjoy it.
So would the jalebi, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Jalebi? Would the jalebi be like a cousin to like a funnel cake like
Yes,
we do
100%.
here? Where you say,
It's like an Indian funnel cake is what it is exactly.
And-
Funny
and-
enough, there's actually a Jason Derulo song called
Yeah?
Jalebi Baby. Yep. Just came out.
and then what sort of syrup are you putting it in?
It depends. So this one is like an orange syrup. It's really, really, yeah, it's crazy. Has a little bit of actually some cardamom seeds in there. It's really, 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 really nice. But yeah, that's like the closest thing I can think. This is really good. This is
Well, thank
something
you.
that can elevate
Thank you.
some normal desserts. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for my man Dana being on the show. First of many, I hope. Hope you guys get a chance to make these, and thank you guys for tuning in.